Hi, I'm Jennet Ingle. I'm the happiest musician. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and click subscribe for me. If you are listening to this in the Crushing Classical player, make sure that you are subscribed. This way you always know when I drop new episodes, and it's easier for other people to find this channel and to become themselves happier musicians. Thank you. I want to talk about the title of my upcoming workshop, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. What do I mean by that? I think I have two meanings, and I think one of them might initially feel discouraging to you, and the other one I hope will light you up. So here's what I'm thinking about. If you would hearken back to when you decided you were going to become a musician, and when you were in music school, and when you were studying in high school and in college, and maybe even for your advanced degrees, when you were starting to try to break into the career, when you were beginning to take auditions, think about what that looked like. If you're anything like me, it was probably about a lot of time spent on your instrument. I remember being at conservatory and really intentionally opting out of all of the classes that involved not playing the oboe, and eagerly signing up for extra credits of chamber music and extra credits of Baroque performance practice, and doing all of the things that I could possibly do to show up with my instrument in my hand. I remember practicing hours a day. And, for an oboist, it's not like a string player or a pianist. We can't actually spend as many hours, but boy, did I spend all of the hours that I could, because it was fascinating to me to learn, to discover, to improve. When you're only so good, or when the gap between where you are and where you want to be is quite large, like, it's pretty easy to make progress. You can dig in and you can actually conquer technical issues in a few practice sessions, and then you can cement them. Like, the work itself is really fun and really enjoyable. And we add to that all of the external pressure of, well, when you show up in public, you really need to be on top of your game. If you're going to play a recital, if you're going to play even in studio class, you really have to practice because all of the people around you are going to judge you. So we spend a lot of time in the privacy of our practice rooms, listening, working on fundamentals, working on the music that we're actually playing, making sure that we've practiced every single note so that we can't be caught out when we show up in public, so that we know what we're doing. That is the way we work when we are early in our careers. The problem comes when you are good enough already to do the job. The problem comes when you are already excellent and you have achieved some mastery over your instrument. After you have put those 10,000 hours in, what then? For a lot of musicians, they get to this sort of mid-career point, even this sort of early career point, and they're like, well, here I am, but I want more than this. I want a bigger job. I want a bigger stage. I want more income, more actual money. How will I get it? Oh, I know. I'll practice harder, because if I'm that much better, then I will get that much greater a result. And the problem is, I think that in the real world, it might not matter all that much. If you are already in the 90th percentile of awesome, in the 95th percentile of awesome, which if you are working professionally, you probably already are, all of the work and effort and energy that is required to get yourself to the 96th percentile might not matter that much. It might be the difference between a perfectly phrased ending of your phrase, a perfect little trill, a perfect little feminine ending. It's important, but it's not actually gonna make the difference between the career that you want and the career that you have, or the career that you have and the career you want. if that makes sense. There's probably not a talent scout for a Big Five orchestra sitting in the audience for your next performance, ready to like reach in and pluck you from the ensemble and give you the thing you have been dreaming about, if only you practice just a little harder. What actually makes the difference, perhaps, is more intentionality about building the career that you want, about showing up and being proudly an expert in what you are doing, in, dare I say, being more visible about what you are wanting to build. And I'm being vague on this point on purpose because your goals and desires are different from mine, almost certainly, are different from the person next to you's goals and desires. But almost certainly, going back into your practice room and working harder in the same way that you have been doing ever since you were in school is probably not the answer. A different answer is required. And in part, that is what we're going to discuss in my workshops next week. That is what we're going to discuss over the course of the visibility lab that I'm enrolling for now, that will start in the fall. And if that feels a little bit discouraging and scary, like, oh, I know how to practice, but I don't know how to do this next thing. I don't know how to make an actual livable difference in the real world experience of my career. Like, congratulations, you are not alone. That is completely normal. But I guess my point is, doing the same thing you have always done up till now has gotten you where you are, and that is fantastic. But something different needs to happen to move you forward into the next phase of your career. And if you don't know what that is, then perhaps come to the workshop, perhaps sign up for my lab, perhaps seek that answer. And that may have felt discouraging for you, this part one of my discussion. But here's part two. I just came back from this music festival. I had a fantastic time playing 4 concerts in 6 days with great colleagues and, talking with them in the breweries afterwards. And it's so interesting when I speak with musicians who are around my age, a decade younger, a decade older, because all of them have interests and passions and fascinations that are different from the interests and passions and fascinations that they would have shared with me if we were talking together in conservatory on a practice room break. I think the beautiful and inspiring part of this is that I don't know if secretly musicians really want, as an end goal, the mastery that all of that practice was striving for. Having the mastery, being good enough to go to work without stress, being good enough to like show up and just enjoy yourself on the instrument, that is a great and lovely thing. But in the absence of seeing that gap spread out ahead of you and like really, really striving to improve your instrumental skills, once you don't have to do that anymore, people get restless because the thing that we love, the thing that drew us into music in the first place, is not necessarily playing the music. It is this work ethic that we share. It is this excitement about learning and improving and getting our hands dirty in the practice room, like really trying to solve the problems that we face. And for some people, they transition that like sort of relentless learning energy and curiosity energy to their teaching. And so they can apply that same kind of excitement to helping their students find breakthroughs. Some people find this in coaching. Some people find this in starting other income streams and other businesses. Certainly, I have found this in the realm of this podcast, even trying to formulate my thoughts really well verbally, trying to learn the skills of interviewing people well and like letting them bringing their ideas out to the fore, whether they have them fully formed or not. Like, it's very interesting to me, and a challenge in a different way than the oboe is challenging. When I have a concert to do next week, I will look at the music, I will learn it, but it doesn't scratch the itch in the same way that it did when just playing the oboe was hard enough. I want something harder. I want something that challenges me where I am right now, that puts me into my flow state. And I bet that that is the case for you too. What is that thing that feels like interesting and exciting in the same way that learning your instrument used to feel? Because that perhaps is the next thing that you pursue. That is the thing that, now that you've gotten here, can get you there. Maybe it is the challenge of overcoming your introvert nature and showing up more visibly. Maybe it is the challenge of overcoming your fear of what they will all think of you and raising your prices. Maybe it is something that I haven't even named yet. Maybe it is writing another book. Maybe it is starting a blog, a vlog, a podcast. What is that thing that you want next in your career? And how can you turn the path to it into something that feels as good as going into your practice room used to feel? That is my challenge to you. Please, if this has been interesting, leave me a comment on the YouTube, leave me a review on the Crushing Classical podcast, reach out to me. My links are all in the show notes. Sign up for my workshop. I would really love to see you there. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.